Hi, I'm the Digital Mermaid, and I'm a dumbass. So remember how at the end of the last video I hinted that Pack A and Pack F were charging weirdly? That was entirely my fault. I'm filming this intro after finishing filming this video because I learned a few things. Mainly, I'm careless. To not bury the lead, I had a nut missing entirely from battery A, I think it was 9, cell 9, and I had a loose nut on battery F. I think it was cell 15, the two cells that were indicating that they were not reaching full charge and falling behind. Just in case anyone's new to the channel, the whole premise of this channel was the fact that I'm a beginner and I was trying to see if I could learn how to do this. I've never presented myself as an expert, and let this video be a reminder of that fact. The main question I have for this video is, do you need to top balance the batteries after doing an initial full charge with the packs fully assembled running off the charger? Could the JK-BMS's active balancing bring it almost all of the way up? Again, not to bury the lead, no, it wasn't worth it. If that's all you were curious about, yeah, that's it. The rest of the video is just going to be showing the details. Before I get into that though, I asked for some help in understanding some stuff during the last video, and I had a lot of fantastic answers. So the questions were not the simplest, and because of that, the answers were not the shortest. I'm going to put them on screen, but it's going to fill most of the screen. I'd recommend, if anyone's curious to take a closer look, just check the comment section of the last video. They're all there. So let me address a few of them now, point by point, before I get into the whole top balancing job. For most of the questions I asked, I had multiple people respond, "Thank you very much." It would take forever to credit everybody, so please bear with me. I sorted by time of post, and I tried to get the first person who posted a relevant answer. They certainly aren't always the only one. Some that posted later even had better explanations. I'm literally just going by whoever posted first in crediting. So Stick Dragon had a very long reply. Here it is. Talking about the difference between consistency and accuracy. They talked about the analog to digital converter that's used inside of the JK-BMS. They talked about how good meters have to be calibrated. The really good ones are sent away periodically to get recalibrated. So they actually looked up the specs of the multimeters I was using and found that they had, I think, a 1% deviation, which they were saying is quite good. So whilst I now understand the value of fancy tools, I'm also not sad about my tools. For what I need them for, they're quite good. So on the ADC converter, as I understand it, you have a relative value that represents, in our case, the voltage of the cell, and it is pegged to a minimum and a maximum value. So the deviations that it was reading between the cells can be trusted to be fairly accurate, but because it's a relative scale, when I calibrated the BMSs, the fact that all of the individual cells jumped made total sense apparently. Actually, not apparently. I think I kind of understand it. I don't want to pretend I fully understand it because I'm still learning. But my concerns about the accuracy of the JK-BMSs and the jumping of the voltage when I recalibrated them was not something to be concerned about. It's fine. Mike Gray, on the same topic, says, "Precision isn't the same as accuracy. Precision is the number of decimal places you can measure to, whereas accuracy is how close the numbers are to being true." I wanted to include this comment because though it seems to repeat what Stick posted, I think that one sentence is a very clear way of describing it. So they also further elaborated saying that one would think that if the JK has such good precision, so many decimal places, then they would also read correctly to that precision, but not necessarily. You can read lots of decimal places, but still have the numbers be wrong, which makes sense. So again, the takeaway is calibrating your BMSs, your JK-BMSs, though by the sounds of it, all BMSs, is totally expected, and it's good that they've added that feature. My concerns about can I trust these BMSs, I still have decided concerns, but that's no longer one of them. W. Lou Little had another comment that was basically saying the same thing. JK-BMSs, they need to be calibrated like anything else. that's not something to give them a hard time about. I wanted to highlight his message because he goes into that in particular detail, and I think it's very well worth a full read if you want to have more insight into calibration and why it exists. One of the other comments he makes that I consider to be really valuable, because it's going to go into my annual maintenance schedule, is to make a point to periodically recalibrate the BMSs as they will drift. I mentioned when I was talking about Stick's reply how the really good BMSs get sent in periodically to be recalibrated. Drift is a thing, and just you have to accept it. So I know that for myself, as part of my annual-ish maintenance, I will check the actual voltage of the pack and recalibrate the BMS. I believe this is true for, I believe this is good advice regardless of which BMS you have. W. Liu, in a reply to his own comment, had another point, which was I should check to see if there was a new version of the app for my phone for the BMS. Because the app isn't through the Google Play Store, it doesn't get updated unless I go manually check. This might have helped account for the fact that it was frequently locking up on me. I had the latest version. There was no new version to install. However, I believe now what was happening, and I'm not sure about this, but it's what I believe, the BMSs weren't locking up. The phone was making a connection, and it thought that connection was open, but the connection broke. I believe if I had left the BMSs long enough, the connection would eventually have timed out and it would have been open for a new connection. Me resetting the BMSs just short-circuited that so I could reconnect immediately. Up North and Personal had a lengthy reply going into a lot more detail on how the JKBMS uses an STM32, which I believe is a type of processor, and a 12-bit compatible ADC, analog digital converter. So what that would mean is that you would have a 12-bit long, which 2 to the power of 12, whatever number possible combinations, and that would be the range between your top reading value and your bottom reading value that sets how many steps you have, the granularity that it can present. The comment itself didn't have new information relative to other commenters, but I think it was presented in a really good way and worthy of a read. So on the topic of flammability of exhaust gases of lithium iron phosphate, Luke Farmer had a really good comment, and I kind of kicked myself when I read it that I hadn't thought it before, and that was, look for the MSDS, Material Safety Data Sheets. Obviously, I wasn't able to find an MSDS for the EVE cells. There might be some Chinese equivalent, and I don't know the search term, and probably wouldn't be able to read it even if I could. But I did look at the MSDS for other lithium iron phosphates being sold in North America. So they do have MSDS, SDS safety data sheets. When I was looking at some of the others, damn it, I can't remember the name of the ones I was looking at. It was a couple other brands of battery producers. I will put credits here. The key takeaway was the risk of fire was at the lowest rating, and if there was a fire, it could be extinguished using a fire extinguisher suitable for whatever had combusted around the battery. I need to do a video soon on the risk of fire and thermal runaway. There's a lot of information that goes back and forth, and I find a lot of it to be misunderstood and confusing. But that's not for now. For now, the key takeaway is they are considered flammable. And so that tells me that as I continue the development of the boxes for the batteries and the compartment that they're going to go in the engine bay, I need to proceed as if they are flammable and that they will outgas. Despite the fact that it's extremely unlikely, it's possible, so I'm going to account for it. I bought my car with airbags and all of the other safety measures, and I hope to never need them. Same mindset going into this. The last comment I want to highlight is by Paul Freeman, Power Paul. He had a very long post with a lot of fantastic information that, again, largely talked about some of the stuff I've already spoken about with other comments, but presented in a really good way. So I wanted to call that one out specifically for you guys to go look for it, to read it. If you're interested, I think it's very valuable. The one line that he had that I really liked, and I've been trying to understand how I feel about JK, because some of what they do, I love. Some of what they do, he said that, I think the JKs are okay. Certainly not perfect, but they're good, great for the cost. I can't agree with that more. That is, I think, the perfect description for JKBMS. For what they cost, they are wonderful. If I was building a system for my home, I think I would be like, yeah, this is perfectly fine. You know, maybe have a couple of spares or expect that I might have to change the BMSs sometime over the life of the batteries, and that would be the end of it and I wouldn't worry about it anymore. But this is going on my boat. So I am continuing my endeavors to come up with a replacement BMS. That's something I will talk about more later in the future. But I want to make it clear, all of my misgivings around JK are understandable when you consider what you get for the money. For what you get for the money, my final verdict on JK is they're fantastic for the money. I don't consider them fantastic, period. There's some stuff they've done that makes me very nervous using it in a life-critical situation. But I also don't think it's fair to then say that JK ever presented these as something to use in life-critical situations. They are a value proposition, and they are a fantastic value proposition. Okay, so with that, let's get on to the part of the video where I show that you don't actually need to top balance these things, and why I opened up calling myself a dumbass. All right, so since the end of the last video, which has been about a week, I've been running the Quattro to charge up the batteries. I would notice that they would all go into overcurrent charge protection. No, that's not right. What's it called? Cell over voltage protect, that's it. I would notice that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and eventually all 6, relatively rapid succession, would go into cell over voltage protection and stop charging. I was a little hesitant to just leave the charger running, which is technically how you're supposed to do it. That way, every time it kicks back on, it pulls in a bit more power. But, and I'll show in a second a cell phone clip I took, I saw a situation where battery F was letting the cell go above 2.65. It would go into that overcell voltage protection, and then immediately, well, not immediately, but within a few seconds, it would re-enable charging. And one of the cells hit 2.8 volts briefly. That could have been a reading error, but it kind of justified my paranoia of not leaving the charger on while I wasn't actively watching the batteries charge. It's Monday evening, and whoa, that's taking 30 amps now. That had gone into an alarm. Oh, just went into the alarm state again. One of the cells has hit overcharge protection. So we can see, yeah, we've got a 3.7 on 14. Oops. Yeah, we had a 3.7 on 14. It's dropping really fast. But one of the cells in battery F has gone really high. And in battery A, same deal. And cell 14's gone up to 3.7 again. 3.74. Holy shit, that's falling fast. Okay, I may have to balance these manually after all. Yeah, because I'm still pulling a full 1200 watts going into the battery. It's going into battery F, yeah. I am turning that off. Yeah, I can see, yeah, and this one is pulling out a lot of power. Battery F is yanking a lot of power out of the other batteries. -5, -5, well, 4.6. Oh, and it just shut off again. Oh, this is why I still like these switches. There we go. So that now is isolated. It can't draw from anything anymore. But it was letting cell 14 routinely go over 3.7 volts. Not good, as a certain German Aussie would say. Not good. Yeah, battery A's gone into a high as well. I really didn't want to have to manually balance 96 cells. That would suck. Yeah. What do you think about that, Kepler? Do you want to help me top balance all of the cells? Because I sure as hell don't want to top balance all of the cells. I will say, having these screens is so convenient. Holy crap, is it convenient. Still, why was it pack A and pack F that were out? Was that just dumb luck? Was it just dumb luck, tatters? Another low effort update. I noticed that BMS-F was flipping into overcharge disconnect. I can't remember exactly what their words were. You can see it's still charging. Normally when it went into overcurrent, it would disable charging for like a full minute. In this case, it was flipping on and off really quickly. Let me see if I can pause it again. When I was noticing this, which one was it? One of these cells hit 3.75 volt, it would disconnect charging for just a couple of seconds and then turn it back on again. It's currently taking in 2.8 amps, no alarm yet. So we definitely have a balance issue here, but can I catch this on camera? There it is. It's into an alarm state. I checked the voltage. 3. Yeah, none of them are high now. Now before, yeah, see how quickly it turned back on charging? It should be off for over a minute. Oh, it's on again. It'll turn off in just a second. Yeah, it's turning off charging for only a short period of time. 3.69, 3.688. So it's allowing the cell to go quite a bit over voltage. And you see how short of a time it turns off. 3.72. Okay, I'm killing it. Wait, 3.37, 3.64. That's cell 14. It's all over the place. I'm wondering if the voltage is dropping extremely fast, or it thinks the voltage is dropping extremely fast, and there might be two ways to re-enable charging. Either the highest charge cell drops below set voltage, or there's a timeout. So it looks like my concern about just leaving the charger on and letting these things absorb was probably well-founded. So with that in mind, what I've been doing is, especially after work, I would come upstairs, click on the charger, let it pump some charge in, and then once they all went into cell over voltage protection, I would turn off the charger and just let them equalize, internally balance the cells and balance amongst each other. So I've been doing that relatively frequently for the last week. Packs B, C, D, and E, the central four, appear to be pretty close to perfectly balanced now, ish. Battery A and battery F, the weird ones, the two outer ones, they have a pretty significant internal cell voltage difference. It looks like each pack has one cell that is somewhat significantly less charged than the others. Low enough charged compared to the others that after this much time, remember we're dealing with 2 amps of balance current, so it would have a chance to balance for 10 to 15 hours at a time. That wasn't enough to balance the pack. So what I'm going to do now is the last cycle where I'm going to turn on the charger and I'm going to show you how the voltages deviate on packs A and F and how they go into this cell over voltage protection. And then once that's done, I'm going to turn off the charger, it pains me to say this, pull apart all the packs and make a 96P 1S battery. I'm going to yank out the old iCharger X8 and my hacked power supply to top balance all of the cells. Should I have done that beforehand? No. The amount of power the Quattro has dumped into these packs compared to what the iCharger X8 could have done, night and day. So even though I assembled them, charged them, and now I have to disassemble them, top balance them, and then reassemble it again is a pain in the butt, I still think it's faster. I have no doubt that on a long enough timeline, these would all balance out to nearly perfect. But I really want to do a capacity discharge test, and the only way for that to be fair is to get this thing fully top balanced. Also, I still don't know whether pack A and F are acting up because they have an individual cell that is low or not. If I completely top balance everything and then A and F start acting normally, well, that's what it was. If they don't, knowing I've properly top balanced them means that something else is going on. So let's get to the difficult work of completely undoing all of the work I've done. Projects! They're fun all the time with no downsides ever. Ever. Let's get to work. Oh gosh, this makes me sad. I always knew I was going to have to do it though, because, I mean, the batteries and everything are just sitting here free in the wind. Safety glasses. I got lax recently about not wearing my safety glasses, and that's just not good. Disconnecting the screen, button, and balance leads from each of the BMSs. It's amazing what multiplication does to how long jobs take. 1 battery. Oh, this is easy. Pull this apart. 6 batteries. Well, it shouldn't be this much harder. This feels like much more than times 6. All the BMSs are dead. Let's start pulling the packs apart. The fuck? Wow. Okay, I think I might have a reason why I might know the reason why cell 9's a problem. How the hell did I do this? Who in the class can tell me what's wrong with this picture? I'm freaking shocked that that is still okay. Did I do the same thing on the other one? It was 15, I think it was. No, it doesn't seem to be missing any bolts here. How in God's green earth did I make that mistake? How the fuck did I do that? It's a good thing I have no pride, or I'd be feeling really bad right now. What a dumbass move. It's been a while since I felt like this much of a dumbass. And that's a pretty low bar because I feel like a dumbass pretty often. Really glad that I was only pushing 3 or 4 amps at a time at the highest. That could have turned into a significant hot point. And that would have been a very high resistance terminal. God damn. I've never shied away from showing you my mistakes in the past. I ain't gonna hide this one. Okay, this is satisfying. This feels like ripping the spinal cord out of something, which I suppose says something about my psychology. Half done. Little buddy here went to the vet today. He got his vaccine, so he's not in the happiest mood right now. Hey, buddy. I got one more pack to pull apart, okay? I'm gonna have a hard time cabling that up in 96P1S. I'm gonna have to probably play with this a little bit. Gotta think, buddy. How am I gonna wire this up? Maybe I should just do 1 pack at a time. If I did that, it would be easier to wire, and, oh yes, that's my finger. And it would let me compare how long it took to top balance each of the packs. Maybe that's what I'll do. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. Hey old man. I'm still faster than you. Oh, got me. I always end up bleeding at the end of this game. He could absolutely shred me if he wanted to. With his little dagger beans. And neutralized. You got me. You got me, buddy. I wasn't paying attention. He's an adorable little shit. Let's pull this last pack apart. I don't know if I loosened this or if it was already loose, but that's cell 15. My pack charging issues might have been entirely self-inflicted. Both packs, those problems, those weird oddities, that might very well be my own fault. Okay, so now the question is, did I get them all positive on the right side? Or, you know what I mean, positive in the same correct side. Let's go find out. Row 1. Looks good. Row 2. Looks good. Row 3. Row 4. Row 5. Row 6. Okay, they all look good. I think what I'm going to do is top balance this bank, then I can move it out of the way, this bank, move it out of the way, and so forth. As nice as it would be to be able to post, I did a 96P1S battery. That was great. clickbait. Not something I actually want to do. Also, it'd be difficult to get to those packs back there. Black, 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 black. Okay, so these are definitely okay. I'm using the rigid bus bars because it's just a lot easier to put them on. You go like that. Now, positive. Oh, futs. Okay, I know what I need to do for those. If you recall back in the earlier build, I had drilled and tapped the original bus bars to take in a screw with a bolt on the back that I used to connect all of the balance leads. I don't know where they are, but I found something that's close. Copper is soft, so even though these threads aren't exactly the right size, oh, actually I think they are exactly the right size. There's not going to be a lot of current going through it. It's just enough to sense the voltage. As usual, if this was permanent, it is not how I would be doing it. But this is just a top balance. For giggles, will these fit? Oh, yeah, easily. Okay, well there's my positive and negative connection. For the battery sense, that's not current delivery. Current delivery comes from this, which plugs into this side. This positive connector can say error. Actually, I've just decided I'm going to leave this off until I measure the voltage. That way I can turn this on, set it to 3.65, set this to 3.65, verify that it's actually 3.65, and then connect it. Some fine camera work, Lou. So I've got them all set up now in a bus. Where's my voltmeter? So before I turn this on, what I'm curious about is, so any difference now in charge between the individual cells in this pack are going to start to balance out just because they're in parallel. So this is going to give me a parallel pack average, 3.455. So pretty close to fall. Now, okay, that's safely there. Turn that on. Oh, hey, gotta plug it in first. Okay, so the power supply is on, this is booting up, the output is off, and it's disconnected. Oh no, it sees it. Let me bring you in so you can see what I'm talking about. 3.447, so pretty close. That also tells me that these are set up properly now. So now what I need to do, sorry, this is probably gonna be shaky, but remember how to use this. Okay, so that was my old profile called life1s_30an2a. 1 second, I need to put this down while I try to figure this out. How did I do this? No, I don't want to run the program. I want to go in and edit the settings. This is exactly why I'm leaving this unplugged. How did I set this up before? Am I going to have to watch my own video? Alright, I think I've got this sorted out. Choose Life1s. I know it's configured properly, but I want to check it. Edit. The type is Life, lithium iron phosphate, lithium iron. Cells, 1s. I was thrown by the 3.3. That's just showing nominal voltage. The point is that it's 1S, 1 series. I'm going to go down to charge. I'm going to charge at 30 amp, charge mode, normal balance. I don't know what all that is. What I care about is that I'm doing to it won't let me do above 3.6. That's fine. I'm going to top balance to 3.6. I don't need to worry about the 3.65. That's good enough. I'm going to go back. So now that I know that it's set up properly, I'm going to exit. And now I'm going to press it quickly. Click on charge. Are you sure? Yes. Voltage match error. Is that currently because I have this unplugged? Oh, the breaker was off. Okay, let's turn that on again. It's probably going to throw the same error. Flip the breaker on. Now let's check the voltage. That might work better. Oh wow, these things are... Oh, hold for a backlight. There we go. That's better. 269 millivolt. Okay, so this is not putting out any voltage at all. Why not? All right, I think I have to trust that the iCharger is smarter than me. I'm going to connect this. If anything goes wrong, I can flip the breaker or cut the power to the power supply really quickly. Even if I hit this with too high voltage, it's not going to instantly go too high and damage the cells. Let's go back and run the charge program. Nope. Voltage match error. Balance port sum is higher than output. So there is no output currently. Okay, that connection had to be on there first. It won't start charging unless there's already a connection. I had the breaker behind here still off. There it goes. Why is it putting out 3.685 volts? I don't want that. I want 3.60. Is it just putting higher voltage on to drive it in faster? And it's going to use the balance leads to know when to stop charging? Yeah, it's putting out 3.685. I mean, the cell voltage is still 3.42, so it should be okay. I'm gonna let this run and keep watching my old video to see if I noticed that and said something about it. Is with a clamp amp meter. I don't know along the wires. Looking at my old video, this didn't go above 3.6. The cells were already at 3.54. I'm not quite sure what I did differently, but I'm just going to keep watching it. It's closing up on 3.6 really fast. I don't know why it's pushing 3.8. But again, so long as the cells stay below 3.6, I'm not going to panic just yet. Let's see what the voltage is at the bus. 3.54, 3.55, 3.55, 3.554. So we're within 4 thousandths. 3.57 after 16 minutes. Hey, tatters. Oh, the amperage is ramping down. It's showing 100% state of charge, but obviously it's not because it's still taking in power. 3.584. We're getting really close. Really quickly. 3.59. It's still running at 3.8 volts. If it hits to 3.60 and it's still going, I'm stopping it. Okay, I don't think it's going to stop. It's still putting 22 amps in. 3.6. It's not stopping. Something's wrong. Life 1S stops. What am I doing wrong? Okay, definitely life. Charged to 3.6 per cell. All right, I'm going to run the charge again. Why is it going to 3.8? It's not set to 3.8 anywhere. It's already up to 3.6 volts again. Oh, the amperage is falling. Did I just get impatient? Yeah, look at the amperage fall off. I just got impatient. Damn it. Yep, voltage is dropping too. This was fine. Yep, it's holding at 3.6. Okay, I need to start trusting my tools more. When I was editing the last video, I could see how much glare I had on the screen. Glare I don't see with my eyes. I think I need to start learning about filters on lenses. Yep, it's just absorbing. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Pulled it back just before it said done. Because of course I did. 3.595. I have enough bus bars to set up a second one. I want to leave these in parallel for a bit longer. It's probably balanced considering how much I was charging and letting the BMS balance up to this point, but it just doesn't feel like after the first one taking so long. I can't believe I finished this in half an hour. Yeah, so I'm going to do the second one, move that over, balance it up, and then I'm going to bring this back. I'll bring this back to here and just see if it takes much in the way of more power. Probably not. If you watched the old video, one of my first ones when I was doing my initial top balance, I put the positive one end and negative on the other. That's technically the best way to do it. Not too terribly concerned again. When I did that one, I had the, what was the other BMS with the passive balancer, the Overkill Solar. So its ability to balance out that last little bit was far less. What I might do, actually, is leave this overnight. I'm gonna charge up this one. If I have enough bus bars, I'll do a third one, leave them all overnight, and then run the top balance again tomorrow after they've had all night to equalize and see how much more power they take. Again, I know I just said that the BMS can probably top it up now, but I'm a curious person. I want to know. Now this is pack E, which was one of the central ones that had no issues. So this one might actually take very little time to balance. Double checking. Positive on positive on positive. Negative on negative on negative. Okay, turning on the breaker. Starting to charge. The amperage is already tapering off. It's down to 25. 3.57. Yep, not going to take very much at all. Looks like this is going to take less than 5 minutes. All right, I have to give JK credit. They did a good job at balancing this one out. Oh, it's been over 5 minutes. I called it badly. You're going on a diet tomorrow, buddy. Oh, there we go. 5 minutes and 32 seconds. So now the question is, do I have enough bus bars to set up a third bank? I'd like to leave the 3 banks equalizing overnight, and then I could do the other 3 tomorrow. All right, black, yellow, you know the breaker's hiding it. There we go, now we can see the yellow. And this is going to be a real short one as well. I can't get my tripod down this low, so I'm just holding it freehand. I'm sorry for the shaking if there is any. Well, I can see there is. 3.6, under 2 minutes. This is currently a 4,480 amp hour, 3.2 volt cell. And it looks like we got less than 1.5 amp hour away from fully top balanced. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow when we run this again after a night of balancing out. Actually, I should say after a night of equalizing. I think it's going to finish when it hits 3 amp. Yep, and that's what it was, 10% of the charge current. Sitting on the floor because I'm too tired to get up and set up for the seat. It looks like the iCharger decides that absorption is finished when the current draw is less than 10% of what it's set to. So it's set to 30 amps, so it said it was finished when it dropped down to 3 amp. We are so close to being absolutely perfectly top balanced. I fully admit that I'm being nitpicky, but that seems to be a bit my nature. I think tomorrow what I'll do, I will set the profile up for say 5 amps. And I'm going to let it run again. We saw, I can't remember exactly, the edit, it'll have the number. I think it was like 1.4, 1.5 amp hours went in. And in a 16P configuration, that's 4,480, 1.5 amps off. It's pretty damn close. I think my takeaway is that if I was doing this again, I would have actually taken the time to torque all of the bolts. Not because the torque was important, but because when I torque, I'm more careful and thorough, and I wouldn't have missed those 2 bolts. Anyways, good night. Next day, P symbol, 2, second day. Let's see how much extra power I'm able to put into these after they've had the night to balance. Equalize? Whatever the term is. So battery D is still hooked up, so that's the one I'm going to do first. All right, so it's set to 5 amp charge. There we go. Now it'll have to hit 0.5 amps before it stops charging. Let's see how much more power goes into it this time. So I'll turn the camera back on once it's finished. It shows a nice summary. And then I will show the summary for each of the 6 packs. The last 3 I'm going to do at 30 amps. I'm not going to worry about letting them balance unless I see something dramatic here. I'll do them to 30 amp and then I'll do it again at 5 amp so that it has longer time to absorb. So after 13, 14 minutes, it's barely put 1 amp hour in. So I guess it's getting more top balanced. Is it worth it? I don't think so. Am I going to do it anyway? Yeah, I will. Dropping it to 5 amps, didn't even add a single amp hour. And I remind you, it's 4,460 amp hours, I think. So, I mean, yeah, it's more balanced. Was it worth it? How 100% do you want to be 100%? I'm going to keep doing it just to see if that holds through for the other cells. But I think the 30 amp was totally fine. It put in a whopping 1.16 amp hours. So much power. Totally worth all the extra effort. Battery F is done. It put in not even 2 amp hours. Time to get onto these ones. I'll be curious to run these ones at the 5 amp hour, considering I haven't top balanced them at all. I expect pack A is going to take a while because it had the missing nut. So, pack A, which I expect to take more than the others. Oh, it's not done yet, Tatters. I thought it was done. Charging at 2 watts. Not even. Well, as Andy said, absorption is the key. And this is definitely getting lots of time to absorb. Finally done. 6.35, well, 6.346 amp hours. Not a lot of power, considering how long that took, 1 hour and 32 minutes. However, she's topped up now. Battery C is done. 2.5 amps. Battery B is the last one. Battery B, last one. 2.38 after 35 minutes. So after about a week of turning on the charger, waiting for all of the packs to go into cell over voltage, and then turning off the charger and letting them balance out, did I still need to top balance it? Da-da-da. No! No, I didn't. If it hadn't been for the screw up I did on pack A and pack F, which really threw me for a loop because they were the two outside ones, but anyways. Now, the caveat is that I had to leave it fully charged for about a week so that it could balance out. If you're in a hurry and you don't want to wait a week, doing that initial charge with the packs all fully assembled, wait for all of the packs to go into disconnect, and then disconnecting them, setting them up in parallel, and doing a final top balance, that would make sense if you're in a hurry. But if you're not in a hurry, yeah, I don't think it was worth it. The JKs did a perfectly fine job. I guess that's the end of this video. I'm the Digital Mermaid. I need to go film the intro now.